Hi, welcome to today's video. My name is Paul. So this week I'm doing a watercolor landscape painting, and while we watch me doing the painting, I'm also going to be talking about some of the things that you need if you want to do some watercolor painting. Now I know on YouTube there's probably a million such videos. Well, maybe not a million, but certainly there are thousands of such videos. And so there will be some overlap in what I say and what other people are saying. But I like to do things a little bit differently than most people maybe, so I always like to have something different. And I think one of the things I'm going to talk about is something that I think is actually the most important, but it's something that I've never seen any of these other videos really talk about. If we were going to rank all the different things that I will talk about, this extra special secret thing is right at the top. It's number one. At the bottom of this list, and I've got 4 things in this list, at the bottom is probably materials. Now that doesn't mean I don't think materials are important. They are. And I did a video a few months ago, at least a few weeks ago anyway, about using different types of watercolor paper and how that can affect the look of your painting, the final result, if you like. So if you're using a very rough paper, you'll get a certain look and feeling compared to using a very smooth paper, which will give you a very, very different look and feeling to your painting style. It's the same with, for example, brushes. I use just one brush, and it's, given that I use a very small piece of paper, this piece of paper that you can see me painting on is A5 size. I don't know what that is in inches or centimeters or anything, but it's relatively small. But I use quite a large brush. At least it's quite large compared to the size of paper. If I used a smaller brush, that would affect the style and look of the painting that I did. If I used a range of sizes of brushes, that would also have an effect on the final result of the painting. And same with the colors, the paint. I don't think the actual brand of paint makes a huge difference maybe. I think there's lots of excellent brands of watercolor paint out there. But what does make a difference is the actual colors, I guess, and how you use the colors. So as I said before, I tend to use the colors pretty much straight out of the tube. I don't do very much mixing, and most of the mixing that I do is kind of somewhat random, and it happens on the paper mainly because I do wet painting mostly. So with blues and yellows, for example, you're going to get some greens forming. Other people I see on YouTube, mixing paint is a big part of their painting style. So they'll mix 3, 4, I've seen some people mixing 5 or 6 colors together to get something that they like or they want. Again, there's nothing right or wrong about this. It's all just different approaches, different styles. But I guess basically what I'm trying to say is the materials do have some effect. And it is something worth considering, especially the surface of the paper. But of the 4 things that I'm going to talk about, I would put materials at the bottom of that list. It is important, but I don't think it's the most important. Next up on the list, number 3, would be knowledge. If you like, the theory of art. So things like perspective. What's the difference between aerial perspective, linear perspective, and planar perspective, for example? How can I use these things in my painting? All of this sort of knowledge will help you to build up your painting style and your painting ability. Things like color theory, for example, will help. It's the sort of thing that you can gain. You can get this knowledge from books, courses, videos, talking to other artists, things like that. Like I said, I would put that number 3. I would put it above materials, but it's not at the top of the list. Number 2 on the list, I would put experience as number 2. I think experience is more important than the materials you use. It's more important than the theoretical knowledge that you have about art. So experience, I put it as number 2 because art is a skill. It's like driving a car or playing the piano. You actually have to do it in order to become better at it. You can't just read a book or watch a video. You actually have to do these things. Imagine if you wanted to learn to drive the car, but you never actually wanted to sit in the driver's seat. There's only so much you can learn about driving a car from watching a video or reading a book. You actually have to do it. And hopefully not make too many mistakes while you're doing it as well. Unlike art, where you're free to make mistakes and usually nobody gets hurt. In fact, making mistakes in art is probably a big part of the learning process. So definitely I would put experience as not the top of the list, but certainly number 2 on the list. So then this, if you like, secret magic thing at the top, the thing that I think most YouTube videos that I've seen anyway don't really mention is you, or in my case me. And why I put that at the top of the list is it's what makes your art unique. We can all use the same materials, we can all learn the same knowledge, we can all gain the same amount of experience, but the thing that makes your art unique is you, or as I say, in my case, me. We all have our own way of looking at the world and our own motivations for creating the art in the first place, and that's really what makes it unique. If you think about paintings that are sold at auction, you can't be cynical and say that a lot of it is to do with probably money laundering, the rich and powerful avoiding taxes and things. But if we avoid all of that cynicism, one of the reasons, for example, people buy paintings by Van Gogh is not because they think it's better than a painting by Picasso or anything like that. It's because it was painted by Van Gogh. They're interested in the person, they're interested in the backstory of who Van Gogh was and his whole journey through life and things, and that's one of the reasons why they're prepared to spend so much money. And it's the same with any artist. The people who are willing to spend money on that piece of art, very often, yes, they may love that piece of art, but very often the artist who created it is part of the whole thing. It's part of the reason why they want to own that piece of art. And as I say, the thing that will make your art unique is you and your motivations for creating art and things. So anyway, that's my list of 4 things that maybe you need if you want to create watercolor landscape paintings or any other oil paintings or anything really. So I don't know, do you agree with the 4 things? Would you put them in the same order? If you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching, and hopefully see you in next week's video.